Welcome back to Across the Border. My name's Chris, and I'm here with yours truly, Max Mother Rolnick. I'm going to have to bleep that in roughly 24 hours. But today, we're going to try something a little bit different. What we're going to do is we're going to do Max.
Pause. Super pause.
Lob threat.
Watch me, my thing, get lost into my singing. Heart like New Orleans and cars be cool and G's, yeah.
What the fuck?
It's like croutons in a soup.
Don't turn down any opportunity, whether it's a camp, a clinic, because you never know literally who's watching.
Make your own decision and stick with them and know they're the right decisions, right? And even if they aren't right, don't regret them.
He didn't know creatine existed.
So you got in some creatine? He's like, oh, yeah. Lift heavyweight.
Shipped across the border. I shipped across the border.
Shipped across the border, man.
Welcome back to Shipped Across the Border. So basically I did not a single question was written down before this. So this is completely off the top.
And there's not me to carry with the stuff off the bat.
Carried
So.
anything in his fucking life. Anyways, how did you start playing basketball? See, this is the thing too. Is like I'm gonna ask questions that I'm not actually curious about because I know the answer. I know your first word was fucking ball. Like I already know. But like we're just gonna go. We're gonna follow the linear path. How did you start playing basketball?
My first word was ball. When I was born, my parents gave me this orange rattle like basketball toy that I just carried with everywhere. And my first word was ball.
So you started playing basketball at what age?
Probably like 6.
How do you go from having an orange rattle to not playing for 6 years?
Well, it's hard to play a basketball.
Lonzo was dunking when he was like 2.
That's not true. That's not
You ever
true.
seen the video of LaMelo like dunking on the mini hoop when he was like could barely talk?
Okay, so I started being interested in basketball. I was actually probably around this time of year, probably when I was like 4 or 5. My grandparents got me this mini hoop for Hanukkah,
Yes.
and the highest I could go was like 6 feet, but I was probably like, I don't know, I was like 4, so I was like I couldn't dunk, and I always put it up, and I was like that was like the same thing as like me now shooting on like a 10-foot hoop, and I would just go in the basement and just play basketball every day by myself.
So you're 4 years old. You play basketball. At what point do you start taking it seriously?
Seriously is like a continuum because like there's people right now who
You
said
just stole my fucking quote. That's crazy.
you never said seriously is a continuum, but you said something before the podcast about continuum.
Before we continue, can you please put the mic up to your face?
My fault. I think there's a lot of people right now that say they take basketball seriously and they practice with their team 4 times a week.
What is your definition of seriously?
My definition of seriously is I wake up every day and get better daily. And I didn't start making...
Wait. There's people who can wake up every day and get better daily who I wouldn't consider serious about basketball. Like there's kids who fuck, I can't say names.
Say names.
No, I literally can't. I mean, I could bleep it. But like...
Oh, wow. I thought you were going to say like Braden or something. Wow.
No, but like there's people like that. There's people who are shitters who get up every day and they get better. I would say that being serious as a definition is when you wake up, is basketball the center of your life? That's what I define serious.
No, because I think, well, you're going to bleep that out. Basketball is the center of their life too. I think, now that I'm thinking about it, being serious is, am I spending my free time, my extra time on basketball? So like if I'm 12 years old and I have basketball practice for my AU team 4 times a week, and so I'm waking up, or even 6 times a week, I'm waking up every day and I'm playing basketball, but I'm not necessarily serious about it. But if I have practice 4 times a week, but 7 times, like the days I don't have practice, I'm working out by myself, or I'm doing push-ups or whatever. I'm doing something to get myself closer to my goal.
It is a continuum.
And
You're right.
in addition to that, I'm on the days that I'm going early and getting half an hour extra shots up, or I'm staying after, and I'm 12 years old. I consider that being serious. So I guess being serious for me is using my free time towards the goal, basically. And I started doing that probably in 10th grade. So
Why
I
was
loved
10th grade? What happened in 10th grade? But you're like, I'm gonna take this seriously.
10th grade. I quit basketball. I quit my my AU team. So how people don't know really in Canada because it's a lot different. Like the system of basketball. Obviously, like every country has different like systems. Like in Europe, you play for your club team, and here in the US, you play for your high school team, which is like the main priority. In Canada, up until you're kind of like grade 10, 11, 12, where you can start playing varsity basketball, the major priority is club basketball or like AAU. Like we call
prep
it.
schools.
Yeah, but that's like the most. I'm talking like that's like there's not a lot of ninth graders playing senior prep. So I'm talking about like a regular ninth grader, especially like for the area that I'm from, like the most, and like when also the time that we were growing up, because when we were growing up, there was not prep school at every single corner. There was like 8.
Now it's just factory farming.
Yeah, now they're just factory farming. Now spamming prep schools. But so when I was growing up, up until you were of age to play varsity basketball for your high school team, which is sophomore year if you're really good, because it's really hard to play as a freshman, especially in Canada. So everybody plays like AU or like club, and so my club team, I left the team that I was on before with JC, with David Rudnick, who was on the podcast before, and I went to a few different club teams, and then the last one I guess I went to before I quit that was this team, and I loved it. I played there for 2 years, my 9th grade year, my 10th grade year. My 9th grade year, I loved it, and the coach loved me, and we had a great relationship, and I loved everybody on the team. And the 10th grade, I felt like he was the type of coach that really brought in new people well and showed a lot of love to new people, but then it's kind of like, he kind of like graduated people out of his program, and like, if you weren't the new guy, he didn't really fuck with you anymore. And I just felt like,
I almost want to say Scarborough Blues, because Scarborough Blues is like really good at developing players, but like after you're past grade 11, I'm gonna say it's like
go fuck
you gotta
yourself.
leave. It's not even go fuck yourself. You just gotta leave. They don't have the facilities.
But it
to,
wasn't
make
even
you
like
better.
that. It wasn't even like that. It was just like, I felt like it was like you got a free trial. Like you come in, you free trial, everything's awesome, whatever. Coach is hooking you up. You don't really have to pay for these extra workouts, and you're getting a lot of playing time, and like coach is messaging you and getting you in for extra workouts and posting shit about you on social media, and everything's cool. And then after your kind of first year, when you're kind of like old news, then it's like, oh, who's the new kid that's coming in? Even if the new kid's worse than you, it's just like, it's fresh. And so I just felt frustrated because like I was getting yelled at and I was getting blamed for shit that like, I told a story on the podcast. I kind of blew up this clip. It was where like I was on the bench of a game. We were playing this men's league as like 14-year-olds, and we got our ass whooped. And I was on the bench because I got subbed out for probably doing some dumb shit. And when my teammate shot an open 3, and I said, good shot, whatever, like next one's going in, just trying to be a good teammate. And I got blasted, like, that's not a good shot, whatever. Like, and I'm like, all right, bro, like, fuck this. You got it. And then it was in the middle of the season, so I didn't really have another like, it's hard to transfer to a different team in the middle of the season. So I kind of took that off. And then I just kind of focused on my high school basketball, which I was a sophomore in high school at this time in Canada. And so I was playing for the JV team because it's at least at my like big public school, you weren't allowed to even try out for the varsity team unless you were a junior or senior, because the way they view it is like the people who are junior and seniors have less time left. So like they're going to play the seniors over the juniors because they have only one more year left. And it's not really a system that fosters kids to make it to the next level. It's just a enjoy your extracurricular type of thing. So that's why I had to get the fuck out of there. But yeah, which is untraditional. So I was basically like just a regular like high school basketball player. But people who are listening to this who have grown up in the US system would be like, okay, you were just playing for your JV team, like you were still playing basketball, you didn't quit. But in my head, in the heads of like my peers around me, like I quit basketball because I wasn't playing club. And I was just playing for my school. Like high school basketball, especially at public schools, is just considered, it's like an extracurricular hobby kind of thing. It's not really taken seriously.
Okay, so you quit, and then you come back in the...
I quit the team, but that's when my grind really started. Because that's what kind of like initiated like a fire in me. I'm like, all right, fuck this, fuck you. I'm gonna get really fucking good, and then no, you're not gonna be able to tell me shit. And so I ended up going to... So when I was really young, like 5th, 6th, 7th grade, I played for a top 3, top 5 team in Canada. Shout out Vaughan Panthers. And it was all fun and games when it was equal playing time. But then in 8th grade, when it's not equal playing time anymore in OBA, which is the rep basketball league for like young kids, and everybody else hit puberty way before I did, and then it's like, all right, well, I'm gonna sit in the corner and
jack threes,
and play,
things never change,
and play a few minutes here and there, and it just started to be like, okay, I was hindering my development at that point. And yeah, it's cool to be around really high level people, but at some point you want to get those game reps, which is important. And so I went to Rudnick's team, and I teamed with Rolnick for a year, and that was fun, and I got a lot more opportunity. Kind of fell in love with basketball again then, and then after that, that team kind of disbanded because, again, we had a lot of good individuals. We didn't have a great team chemistry and play well together, but we had a lot of really good individuals who went to a lot of other higher places. And then I went to this team for 2 years, and then I quit, and then I worked my ass off, and I went back, actually, to the team that was, at that time, top 5 in Canada, which at this point, obviously, if you're top 5 in anything when you're 12, you probably won't be when you're 16 because that's just the way life works. But they were still a very, very, very good team and a very high-level team. And at this point, they were Uplay sponsored, which people knowing who are like have a lot of knowledge of the basketball community. Uplay is like where Shea played, or Shady and Sharp played, where all these they're a whole team. They're an EYBL team and they go Division 1. They have
not very many teams in Canada are sponsored by Uplay or EYBL.
Yeah, so we weren't an EYBL team, but we were sponsored by Uplay. We were called Vaughan Uplay, and it was a very high level team. And there are people who from that team play Division 1 right now, who I played with. There's people who are playing college basketball across the States and in Canada at very high levels and doing very good things. It was a very, very good program. And I worked my ass off and that whole year. And I had also a good season on my JV high school team. And I ended up making that team. But that's also a funny story that we could get into.
Up until that point, so that's grade 9 and 10 where you moved to that team in the top 5. Are you frying at that point? Like you're getting buckets on kids? Or
what do you mean?
Like from ages of whenever to grade 8 before they had equal playing time, were you frying or no?
I started off, before I started off playing rep, I started off playing just in this local league at the JCC with a bunch of the different local house leagues, and I was killing. But also I went through a puberty sandwich of I was really developed.
Terrible visual.
I was really developed compared to a lot of kids, really young.
Yeah.
And then I kind of stalled, and everyone caught up to me, and they passed me, and then I shot up after that type of thing.
What I'm getting at there is when you went to equal playing time, that obviously probably hurt your ego.
Yeah, for sure.
And did that teach you anything?
I guess it's the first stone in the well of resilience that I'm still dealing with to this day. I guess it's the first kind of step in the long journey of resilience and getting knocked down and getting back up and persevering that I'm still on to this day.
Okay, so then you move on to grade 11, which...
So grade 11, Canadian grade 11, I did 5 years in high school because I did 2 years of prep school in the U.S. So grade 11, I played for the varsity team because I'm too old to play for the junior team. And obviously, finally now I was given an opportunity to play for the varsity team because I was of age. I was one of 4 juniors to make the team. And I played pretty well. I was, believe it or not, I was back a point guard. I was 6 man, but I was bringing the ball up.
I thought you were going to say, believe it or not, I was yamming on people's heads. I was putting...
No. I was a point guard. I was making plays, dribbling the ball up the court and stuff. And yeah, I thought I was the best player on the team. And I think a lot of other people thought I deserved a lot more minutes. But, because the grade 12s only had 1 year left and I had 2 years left, I'm not going to get that opportunity to start because I would next year. But I thought that was unfair. And there were some times where we had a tournament. Anyone watching this who knows anything about Stephen Lewis or played the St. Andrews College tournament was the best tournament. It was the best day of the year.
I'm not gonna lie, I think my little ass John Diefenbaker team plays St. Andrews in an upcoming game.
St. Andrews is a big private school in Canada, a little bit north of me, probably a lot south of you. But awesome tournament, and we played. They give out player of the game after every game. It was really cool. I have a few of those T-shirts. But one game we played in the semifinals versus a team who has a guy who's playing at Niagara College, who's doing really well now. And if you know, in order to go directly from wire DSB or regular public school basketball to play in college is extremely rare, and you have to be really, really good and do a lot of really good things in order to get noticed. And so they were a really, really good team and had 2 or 3 dudes who are playing college basketball now, and they were a really good team, and we were missing our starting point guard. So I started, and I had 20, and I won player of the game. And then I had 2 very clutch free throws, and I just was getting buckets the whole game. And then the next game we played versus a team that was a lot worse because the host of the tournament always takes the easiest path, and played them, and I had 25 in the first half. We beat them by 30 or 40. I won player of the game, so I won finals MVP, and then came off the bench and played 6 minutes the next game when the starting point guard came back. So it's at this point I was fuck me, and then COVID happened and shit.
COVID happened. But is this the year that you decided that I'm going to play college basketball?
Yeah. No, I decided I wanted to play college basketball after I quit. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna grind, and like that's the goal.
Why was that the metric? Because now you're here. So like looking back, why did
It's hard. I wrote in my grade 8 grad book, where will you be in 5 years? I'll be playing basketball at an American college. So like I wrote that in my yearbook, and like I have a photo of that.
seen it?
But so like you could say like, but that was like more of a dream. It wasn't necessarily a goal because I didn't really have a pathway.
Yeah.
I didn't have a plan, or wasn't making any steps in that direction. But like when I quit in 10th grade my club team, and I really like set my focus on like I want to get as good as I can. I want to play college basketball.
Did you? So when were you telling people like I want to play college basketball? Or were you walking around like I'm gonna go play college basketball? And if so, was there like talk of like yo, there's no way he's gonna play?
Yeah, I'm sure. I don't think I was like going around to everybody I knew and be like, yo, I'm gonna play college basketball. But like this is also actually now I'm thinking about it. This is the time where a lot of my like, especially going into grade 11, where you start thinking about where you want to go to university. Yeah. And so a lot of my friends were saying that. I'm like, and I was saying like I want to go play college basketball. And a lot of time when I quit, like a lot of people were giving me shit, and I'm gonna tell Brandon, my friend, one of my best friends, Brandon, to watch this episode. But so he played up with me in 10th grade on the JV team, didn't make it 11th grade, and he played club outside of school. But like we would always harp on him because like we're in a friend group, and I'm obviously way better than him. Respectfully, I love you, Brandon, but like I would give you 50, and it wasn't even close. But now at this point in grade 10, he was playing club and I wasn't. So like all of our friends in the friend group were like chirping me, saying, "Yo, Brandon's better than you. Like you're equal to Brandon now. Like you can't say shit." And I'm like, like it was like, all right, like you got it. Like they didn't see the path. They didn't see light at the end of the tunnel.
I say that because when I said I wanted to go play college basketball, the whispers and shit was like, who the fuck does this kid think he? Because nobody.
Yeah, it's so uncharted territory. But actually, what really made me want to, now that I'm thinking about it, what really made me want to play college basketball is watching D. Friga.
Fucking shout out D.
I've talked to D. Friga a bunch.
What?
Do you know that?
Not at all.
I started watching D. Friga like when I was in 10th grade, so however long that was. He was probably only had like a few, like
I have
tens
a friend
of.
who's going to watch this, Justin Hunter, the one who critiques all the videos. He's been a D Freak OG, bro. He's been watching for a long time.
He probably had like 10,000 followers, maybe a little bit less.
Yeah.
So obviously, if I DM'd him, he would be able to answer. And I have like, you could scroll. Like it's like we have a pretty good conversation. I asked him a bunch of questions, and that kind of like brought my attention to like there was basketball outside of like. My vision was very focused. Like I want to play varsity for Stephen Lewis. I want to make this Vaughan Panthers team, but I kind of opened my peripheral vision of like there's more to be achieved.
So when did you go to Andrew Osborne?
So COVID happened, and after like my season with my
Before we do that, what happened during COVID? What did you do during COVID when that shit hit?
COVID, we talked about this on another episode too. It's like the power of like working with no goal, or not with no goal,
result.
but with no immediate result, and not even like you don't even know if you're gonna have an opportunity, but just working anyway so that you stay ready, so you don't have to get ready. I was every day. I was doing ball handling every day. I was lifting 4, 5, 6 times a week. I was on my driveway shooting every single day. I was getting after it. Going to the park with my dad, waking up early with my dad before he started to work to shoot on the driveway, then shooting with him after he finished work. In the between, I was playing on the doing ball handling stuff and just working out, and I just was working because I knew I wanted to go to a prep school, and I knew that I would have to be fucking ready to compete. And I knew that I didn't want to have to get ready. I wanted to be ready, and I wanted to be ready for the opportunity that I got. And so I worked my ass off.
And then,
so COVID happened. And when that happened, I realized this is my opportunity. Few things kind of set me off. One, obviously, I was unhappy in the situation that I was the previous year on the varsity team at Stephen Lewis, and I was frustrated. And I'm like, fuck that. 2, I knew that if I stayed at Stephen Lewis, there was no way I was going to play college basketball, because realistically, I'm not the type of kid that's going to go and have 45 points and get the attention of coaches. In that sense, like that's just not my style. I'm not 6'5", 6'7", gonna be dunking on people.
shout out self-awareness.
So there's really little recruitment, and it's really, really hard to me achieve my goal in this environment. So I thought I want to try and experience something else. And also that may have not even been an option, and which now we know wasn't an option, because like my next year, there was no high school sports in general. So everybody who was planning on to be on that team didn't even get that opportunity to finish their high school basketball career. And so all those things, all those factors, I'm like, fuck this. And so I started working with Coach Mom. Shout out Coach Mom.
I knew that name was going to come up.
She's a prep school agent, and she's awesome. And she has so many connections with so many different prep schools in Canada and the US. And I talked to her, and I had an assessment. I had a virtual assessment where my dad FaceTimed her. My dad was outside videoing me working out, and I had a really good workout, and she put me through this virtual workout. did really well. She kind of wrote this, sent her a bunch of film, and she kind of wrote this report about me and sent it out to her contacts. And I had a few schools reach back to me, but the one that like was most interested in me was Coach Kirbis at Andrews Osborne. Shout out Coach Kirbis. And he was really interested in me, and he really wanted me to come. And so I started talking to him, and I just felt the vibe right away. I felt like this is like I could make this place home.
What is it like going from a Canadian high school to a American prep school in basketball terms?
In basketball terms, a lot more commitment in the sense of like we practice 6 days a week, and we were at like 9 a.m. on a Saturday. So it's in Canada we were 3-4 times a week if it's like a hard week for the varsity team, which is going to be crazy for people to hear that, like who grew up in the American varsity college basketball system, but like 3-4 times a week, sometimes twice, like depending on if our coach, who's also a teacher, had to go take his kids to soccer. It's like, it's just like, it's not really taken seriously like that. So that was but that wasn't an issue for me because I love the game, and I was always like, yo, we need to get in the gym more. So that was an issue for me. Academically, it was different. It was, people more gave a fuck. Like I had to be on, like I had a house parent because it's not like college where you're a grown ass man. Like I'm not gonna have someone telling me what to do. I was a kid, and there's kids who are a lot younger than me, and so they have like house parents, and they're making sure you're on top of your shit, and you can't really leave campus unless you tell them. And like there's a lot and like your teachers and like advisors also, like there's only like 200 people in the school, so like they know you by name, they know your background, they know everything about you. You see everybody every day, and so like they give a fuck about you, so they hold you accountable. So in that sense, it was like a little different. I think school is easier in the U.S. than it is in Canada. There's a lot less work.
1,000th time that's been said, but yes, it is.
Yeah, so that was different.
With Coach Kirbis, when you showed up, did he have a vision for the kind of player he wanted you to be?
Yeah, I think that they just graduated. They had a really good team the year I was there before. They had 3 or 4 dudes go play college basketball. And so then they had 2 returning guys who were going to be seniors who ended up playing, plus me. And so he kind of wanted me to be that third kind of option, that more of a wing player, like shooting the ball, maybe bring it up if I had to, and just focus on shooting and being on the perimeter and like being a perimeter threat. Because the guard who I was playing with is a very downhill guard, and so he plays all like Ian, or like Tay.
At this point, did you have an idea of how you wanted to play?
I wanted to do whatever I could to get the most minutes possible and be the best possible.
So
I didn't really have
We're not resistant at all. Like whatever this guy tells me, I'm gonna fucking do.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, and then so you went there grade 11, grade 12.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I did 5 years of high school, so like I reclassified, did grade 11 again technically, but like it's not like I was doing the same stuff. Like it's a completely different academic system, completely different courses. So I needed the 5th year to help get my credits aligned and stuff like that.
Grade 11, grade 12, you go there, and then college recruitment. I know we've talked about this already a bit, but I do want to go through the full story. So out of there, Coach Kirbis knew Coach Hack, or no?
So my junior year, my coach thought I could be a potential scholarship. I had a really, 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 really good junior year. I was an honorable mention for All-State in Ohio, which is a very good basketball state with a lot of like high-level programs, high school basketball and colleges. I was all-district first team. I was Max Preps Ohio Athlete of the Week. I was top 5 in makes and percentages and 3 points made.
For the record, I've heard that 12 times in the last 2 weeks.
That's not true. But so I had a really good junior season, and at one point, my coach was like talking to me. We had a conversation. He's like, I think like after next year, like you could be a scholarship type player. And so I was like, awesome, that's cool. And he's like, but I think it would be better for you to go to a high academic Division III school, such as in the UAA or the NESCAC or something like that, as opposed to that, because the D2 schools, the academics can be varying. And so I was originally looking at UAA schools, and I talked to a bunch of UAA schools. I talked to Carnegie Mellon. I went to a bunch of different camps, Brandeis. I talked to a bunch of different really high level programs. But obviously, like all those schools talk to a lot of kids. They talk to a ton of kids, and that doesn't really mean shit. I thought it was like the coolest thing in the entire world getting email back from Williams College, which is like top 10 in the country right now, and they have one national. Duncan Robinson went there. That was D3 Duncan Robinson went to. Okay. I thought that was fucking sick. I'm like, yo, I'm going to the league.
I'm the next D-Raw.
Yeah, we both white. We both can shoot. He may be 6'9", but like, I'm going to the league, and I thought that was cool. But I quickly learned that doesn't mean shit. And I went that summer. I went to the summer after grade 11. I went to the Yale camp, which is a camp with a bunch of high academic Division III, like a ton of high academic Division III schools. And I realized, like there's 300 kids here, and every single one of these kids has also heard from every single one of these schools, and and these kids are really good. And so the first day, I kind of was really not prepared, and I shit the bed, played like shit, and probably lost all the interest from all those schools that I had. And the second day, I came with a different mindset, and I played really, really well. And that's when I really got my first real interest. I'm like interest before, I mean like responses from the coaches, but then this is the first time, Oberlin College. Shout out Coach Kaveko. He's a great coach, great guy. He came up to me, and he knew Coach Kirbis because Coach Kirbis had a ton of connections, and he talked to me. He said he really likes my game. He thinks I could be good fit for the team and wants to bring me on a visit. And so I went on my first college visit before, like, with my family. The same weekend they moved me into school my senior year, and that was awesome. And then I had a lot of recruitment. I was very, very fortunate enough to be able to choose where I went to school, as opposed to only having one opportunity and kind of being forced in that direction. And I mean, at one point I started off my senior year not well. The first 5 games I had like 18-6, 18-6, 18-6 pretty much. and then I had a really bad stretch of 5 games after Christmas break. And at that point I was probably one of my lowest points where I'm like, I might not reach this goal. I might not play college basketball. And then I picked it up, played well, and got a ton more interest, and was in a fortunate position that I was in.
So why did we choose Madai?
So coach, I was home for something, and I was emailing a ton of schools because I spent so much time on I put in so much work emailing schools, researching schools. So this was really my goal, and I was willing to do anything it took. And I emailed, Kirbis would constantly send me lists of schools to email that he think I'd be a fit at, or people that he would talk to, and I emailed Madai. I emailed Coach Hack, and Coach Hack emailed back right away. He's like, holy, like Rudy Kirbis, haven't heard that name in so long. I'd love to get on a phone call. He called Kirbis, and then he emailed me. We set up a call, and I fuck with Coach Hack. I fucked with his vibe. I fuck with everything.
What's up,
it sounded like a good fit. And so while I was going back to school, I went on a visit there, and I loved it. And then I went on maybe I know I flew to Lake Forest College in Chicago for a visit, and that was a dope experience, but I just didn't feel like that school was right for me. And I maybe went on another visit too, but then I'm like, I don't want to drag on this college process anymore. I want to get this done with. And I committed to Madai University on senior night, and my whole family was there, and that was an awesome experience.
When did you meet Coach Long?
I didn't. Day one.
Actually?
I didn't know Coach Long.
Because I got recruited by Coach Long, and that's the same thing. I didn't meet Coach Hack until...
No, I met Coach... I didn't. He wasn't even there on my visit. It was just Coach Hack.
So throughout this whole process, the ups and downs, I know we talked about this a fuck ton of times in the room, but we never...
This episode could be like 2 hours.
It could, but we're going to try and not.
No, let's try and do it 2 hours and cut it up into 2.
Holy fuck, buddy.
You said you want content.
Chris's job just gets so much harder by the week.
Let's get some content.
So we talked about this in the room, but at these lowest moments,
There are a lot of them in this sport. For me, at least. I don't know.
His is fucking daily, but what keeps you going? Specifically, like I want you to fucking dig in. I want you to think about that moment when you're playing like shit. Actually, no, what I really want to ask is, that was fucking gibberish. What I really want to ask is, when you broke your shin, because we didn't really go over that.
So that's what I said we were going to get into later. So this is a funny story. This is why it's going to be fucking 2 hours, because I have a lot of fucking stories.
It's 2 hours because he never stops fucking talking.
The tryouts for Vaughan Panthers, which is the high-level AU team I played on after I quit, the first possession of the live scrimmage, I fractured my shin, just sliding on defense. I opened my hips up and I stepped funny, and I like hyperextended my right knee.
Did you drop to the ground? And
No, I heard a crack, and I said, "Yo, I have this. This is my only fuck am I gonna do? If I don't do this shit, I'm done." Played the rest of the 8 minutes, got fucking buckets, and then told them like, "Yo, some shit's wrong," and I sat out the rest of the thing. My dad came, whatever, and then went to the hospital and I said I had a fractured shin. So I probably wasn't fractured, and then I
continued to play defense.
Yeah, and then it got worse, but
I'm really talking about when you broke your thing
in Israel.
Yeah. So first of all, you went up for a layup or a dunk or something?
I went up for a layup on the left side with off my left foot, like one of those ones. You know what I mean? You know, classic on a fast break layup down 35 to Israel's national team. Yeah, and I got hit in the right hip, and I landed on my right leg again, and I just shot.
Was the bone out of the...
No. But I can't even really explain it. It was just I stepped so awkwardly and shit feel? Fucking terrible, dude. I was bawling my eyes out. I didn't really cry. I didn't cry at all. The first one.
You just fucking...
Bro,
Bang
I was
this
bawling
one.
my eyes out. Like, I was in hysterical pain. And
Worst
then
pain you ever in your life?
probably, and then I put like the trainers, because we had like a whole athletic training staff in Israel. It was an unreal experience, and they put like ice on my knee, and I had a reaction to the ice, and it started burning, and I was sitting behind the bench. I was like, ooh, it was insane.
What's going through your head in these moments? Because I know one of the things that I like, one of the most vivid things I remember when I was younger was hearing Kobe's speech after he tore his minute or whatever, like that game where he went for the pull-up and he tore his Achilles and still shot the free throws.
Yeah.
And he has like a really fucking great lesson during all of that. And so I wanted to really like dig deep and figure out what was going through your head when you broke your shin and like now like, all of a sudden I was like, oh fuck, I might not play college basketball, and all of these things hitting you at once. Like, what's going on in your head?
Well, that's probably why I was also crying. It's 'cause, like, I realized, like, fuck, like, this could fuck me. But I really believe that I am the most delusionally optimistic person in the entire world. Okay. And so I believe in God, like, heavily, but I also just believe, like, that good things happen to good people and shit's gonna work out how it's supposed to. And I just believed that shit was it was gonna figure itself out. Like,
I thought it was over.
No, I didn't think it was over.
No.
I never think it's over. I'm a psycho. I never think it's over. I believe that it was going to work out somehow. I don't know.
So even in the rehab process, you're like, I'm gonna figure it out.
So this, bro. I mean, I called Coach Hackett, so he knew. So it wasn't like, yo, you lost your spot, like we're giving someone else. So like I had a place, and I had when I got there, Evan helped me a lot, and I did a lot of like rehab. So I knew in the sense of like it was going to be untraditional, and I was going to come back, and I was going to be at a disadvantage. But I didn't think like it was done because I had a place still. I was lucky enough to have committed before then, and so. And they still wanted me.
You told me this a while ago. Was that before, like, pre-shin injury, you were, like, quite cocky?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you said it was, like, a necessary humbling? Do you still feel that?
I don't know if I've ever said that, to be honest with you, but...
I swear to God, you have.
Maybe.
I vividly remember, like,
Maybe.
you told me, this is the first time you ever told me that you broke your shin, and you were like, I'm not gonna lie, I low-key needed it, because I was really cocky beforehand, and, like, all this stuff, and, like, it happened, and now I just had, a humbling moment.
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe.
Do you think it was a necessary, like, even to right now, you think it was necessary?
No.
You would have much rather
Much rather not have that happen. But, I mean, everything happens for a reason. I think I learned a lot of lessons from it.
Which,
I
elaborate.
learned how to really, like, I'm a person's like, fuck that shit, I'll do that shit on my own. Like, I don't need to listen to you. I don't really need to hear your shit. Like, I don't need to listen to the doctor. I'll figure the shit out myself. And, like, I really stressed, like, following all protocols and not doing, like, listening to everything. And I'm a very, like, individual person. I don't like listening, basically. And I like doing my own thing. But I really had to listen and do everything I possibly could. And it also just a lot of perseverance and optimism. And then those lessons.
So you were still rehabbing as we came into the season at Madai. So that must have been a completely new experience because you were like you said you were itching. You were fucking itching to get back on the court.
But at the end of the day, I didn't have an experience to compare it to because I was never a college basketball player before. So I was just like going about everything for the first time. So I don't think I really compared it to.
And then you said that first practice. I know we've also told this story before, but like that first practice on, everything was just going a million miles a minute. You
felt like my feet were in molasses, and I was
fell on your face.
And I fell on my face like twice. I had the most ridiculous bruise on my hip and on my knee. It was crazy, and like that's what happens. Like. It takes getting used to as we know now. Like it just takes in every step. There's like what takes getting used to practicing at that speed, and then once you get that, it takes another step of getting used to the speed of the game, and just always adjusting.
Mm-hmm. So now after this whole like you came back into practice and everything, I want to know like so I didn't really like we started the podcast late or whatever, and you were still training, but how?
I was out when we started the podcast.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So it's like. When you were coming back into basketball and trying to find a way to like redo your training, what is that like after coming off of a broken shin and after training super fucking hard? Putting
Nothing. Same thing.
Exact same thing?
Exact same thing.
Just free throws. I actually do remember the free throws. You were obsessive about
well, because free throws is the only thing I could do. So I would just shoot free throws all day, every day. I would shoot 100 free throws and see how much I could make on the gun every day, basically. But like, once I could start doing shit, I just started doing shit. It's always like that. It's always been the same shit.
Something we don't think we've talked about in the podcast before is your goals after basketball. Because I know you probably don't like talking about that because you're scared for that day. I'm
honestly not scared for that day. I was for a good portion of my life, but I'm really not anymore. I think I realized that I don't want to play professional basketball. I think I want to experience playing professional basketball in Israel for a year or two, especially after I had that experience in Maccabiah, which is awesome, which I played for the Canadian national team in the Maccabiah games in Israel, which is, if I don't play professional, the closest thing I'll ever do to play professional is like a tournament on the national scale, and it was awesome. And I really enjoyed that environment, and I think I would enjoy playing a year or two there. But then after that, I really have no interest in playing professional elsewhere, even continuing there. I think
kind of new. I won't lie.
I've been thinking about this for a while. I don't know if I've ever said that out loud, but I think I think
that.
that there will be a point where I'm okay with putting it down, and I don't think that the point was not after high school. That point was not after Madai shut down. And that point won't be until I graduate. But I think there will be a point where I'll be content, and I will not feel the need to go to the gym every day and work out and be on this insane training regimen and
So
stuff.
what's the plan?
I want to go into business. My dad's in business. I have a lot of family members in business. My dad's an entrepreneur and works at a large business, and I just want to go into business, maybe start my own something. I'm studying marketing and accounting right now, which I've started off studying marketing, and I have a increasing interest in accounting. I think it's interesting, and I think it comes to me naturally, and so that could be a cool type of thing to explore. And just want to make money and work and live life and experience and travel and do a lot of different life things that I have not.
Would you ever want to coach at one point? Because I know you said this to me, but like, do you ever want
No,
to coach? No?
I would want to coach my kid. Like, I think that'd be a cool experience. But like at the end of the day, I don't have the patience to deal with.
You stupid fuck.
Yeah, I don't have that type of patience to deal with people who like aren't. I'm not a
trainer.
I could be a trainer. But I'm not great at teaching people things, especially things that I'm good at, because I don't have a lot of patience. I have very little patience, especially for things that I pick up easily. So it's like, and I'm also not. I don't pick up things easily.
I've actively seen him almost, like very close, destroy his fucking MacBook because something very minute isn't working the way that he needs it to work.
Not a lot of things come to me naturally at all. I've had to work so hard for everything that I'm even remotely competent at. And so if something does come to me naturally and you don't understand, that frustrates me. Because like if I can't fucking turn on my own TV at home, I'm 20 years old, I can't struggle to turn on the television. And you don't understand how to fucking do a periodic inventory, like you're an idiot. Because I understand that shit. I have very, very low patience when it comes to shit that I get naturally.
Okay. I'm going to go way back to, we're just going to bounce all over the place.
But it's hot as fuck in here now.
It's so fucking hot. What separated you? Because you said some of these guys, we're gonna go levels here. So what separated you? Because you said only 2 kids out of your Andrew Osborne, like with you, went off to play college basketball?
My junior year, 2 people. And my senior year, including me, 3 or 4.
So what separated you from the people who didn't get to go to play college basketball?
I'm in the gym.
That's the only thing that separated you. That's the only fact.
I love the game more. I'm in the gym. I take shit seriously. Mm-hmm. I take shit seriously. Like, I would be on guys for like joking around. Like, I take shit seriously. I would be on coach for giving us an off day if we just lost on whatever. Like, I take shit very, very seriously, and I really give a fuck. Mm-hmm. Like, that's one thing about me is the things that I give a fuck about, I give a fuck about. Mm-hmm. And I was in the gym every day. I would practice, and then I'd go do my homework, and I'd come back to the gym and get shots up at night after all the other teams were done practicing. I'd often go at my lunchtime as well, or at a break in the day to get some form shots up or do some ball handling or work on some specific skill. Like, I love the game, and I give a fuck. Mm-hmm. That's really it.
A quote that I heard not that long ago that really ties into this is from Warren Buffett, and he was like talking about, he said it's easier to find negatives than it is to find positives in terms of like if you want a goal. So it's like if you want to be successful, it's easier to make a list in your head of ways to be unsuccessful
for sure.
and avoid those. And he had this long paragraph about like if you want to avoid success, you have to go do drugs and get involved with girls and do all of this stuff, right? And like one of the things he said is, and you have to absolutely avoid consistency, because even if you do everything else on this list, if you're consistent, there's still a chance you'll be successful. Because sometimes that's all that fucking matters.
That's the most important thing in anything is consistency. Mm-hmm. And I'm just consistent.
What do you think was the separating factor? And I think I know what this is, but the separating factor from the fact that you went Division III to the guys that went D2 to the guys that went D1, from your perspective, because you went D3. So what do you think separated them?
I think just natural ability and natural
That's where I
athleticism,
was going.
which is height, athleticism, strength. That's one thing. Two, I feel like I suffer from performance anxiety, which honestly is probably one of the reasons why I've struggled at moments in my life. At moments, I've been really, really confident and a really, really good game time player. And at moments, I've had a bit of performance anxiety and not really shined in the moment well. And I think that there are a lot of people who, as soon as the lights gets on, like they're really ready. I didn't think that because I give so much of a fuck and I care so much, at some points in my career, that's been a detriment to me in the sense of like sometimes I won't do everything that I'm capable of, and I'll kind of be a little bit more reserved, and I'll overthink a little bit, or I'll act, or like I'll play a little more nervously than I would like to, or that or not play as I'm capable of doing. And I feel like a lot of the guys who go D1 or all this type of stuff just have that natural dog in them.
They love the bright lights.
They have that natural dog in them. And I've had a lot of moments, and I do like to believe that I am a game time player, but I just feel like there have been points in my career, and maybe that has to do with outside stuff infiltrating basketball, but that I've had performance anxiety and I haven't been able to really do all the things that I know I'm capable of and that I work on the court.
Yeah, I will say I'm definitely someone who suffers from performance anxiety, and that's like the one hurdle, maybe not the one hurdle, but one of the hurdles that I never like actually.
I just think it's because I give so much of a fuck. Like I really care. Like I really pride myself, and my self-worth is based on basketball. And so I know going to the game, if I have a bad game, I'm gonna feel depressed, and I'm gonna feel like shit about myself. And so that puts a lot more outside
Unnecessary
pressure than necessary. And so
Yeah, see, I don't think that's definitely not what when I'm in the game, I'm not thinking like I don't want to get embarrassed, all this stuff. Or maybe I am, but like that's not the thing that I think holds me back from the performance aspect. I think it's literally just reps. I never got that giant stack of evidence that I can perform in these games. I have like one of the things. Like we were talking before this about how, and we brought it up a little bit, is how skills are a continuum, not a binary. Lots of big words there. Basically meaning that like having confidence and not having confidence isn't a black or white situation. It's a line. It's how confident are you? And every action you take in a moment of adversity that proves to yourself that you have confidence is a step in the direction to you eventually saying to yourself, I have the skill of confidence. And I had like, if it's a big ass line, I had like 20 dots over here that said I'm not capable of having confidence in games, and then like 5 over here. Because it's like you literally just need to throw enough shit at the wall to the point where like, I almost want to say it's lucky, because it's like, if shots aren't falling, you can still play your ass off, but it doesn't necessarily translate to confidence.
I just feel like I have a massive pile of stuff that I can look back on and be like, I can do it at this level, and I can do it, and I have done it, and I will continue to do it. And it's put in work in the unseen hours in gyms where the lights aren't even on yet because it's before school, or the lights have been turned off by the janitor and I'm still shooting. Or it's even games where I've played really well and I've hit big shots in big games. I just think that I had something that I was gonna say. I fucking blanked. But it's just I give so much of a fuck. It's that it's like you chase a cat, or your dog escapes from your house. Your dog goes out of your front door, and the more you run after it, the more it's gonna run away from you.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I chase after that because I want it so badly and I care so much, and I chase after it, and sometimes it runs away from me.
Almost chase it too hard.
Yeah, so I feel like I almost chase it too hard. I feel like everything I do in life, I either go 100% or I don't do it at all. My parents will tell you that 100%. Like, Max, they always say, like, Max, you're so lazy, whatever, you don't do anything. I'm like, well, how can you say that when I got up at 6 a.m. this morning to work out? Like, how can you say that? It's like, you pick and choose where you put your effort. And I really pick and choose where I put my effort, but in the things that I put a lot of effort into, I put a lot of effort into. And I feel like sometimes I chase those things too much, and they run away from me. That's something that I'm working on to this day.
I'm assuming this is a complete fucking this could completely miss, but like you were the only athlete in your family growing up, like in terms of your household specifically.
Yeah. I mean, my brother was really, really good at hockey, really young, but he decided.
He's also golf, right?
Yeah, he's fucking really good at golf, but he is studying engineering, and so that takes up a fucking lot of time.
So what is it? I want to know what it's like being like the only athlete, and like, did your parents treat you differently than they treated the other two kids, or? Both
my siblings will tell you this too. Both my siblings' life revolved around my life and my schedule, and especially my sister. My sister, we have a relatively big age gap. It's like 6 or 7 years, and so when I was going through all this stuff, and I'm like 16, she's like 9. Yeah. So you're not really old enough to really develop hobbies like that. She's hooping now. She started playing rep 2 or 3 years ago, and she's hooping now. She's holding down the Rolnick name on the court right now, and I'm really proud of her. And she's making a lot of progress. But the beginning part of her portion of life was she got an iPad at 4 because my mom just give it to her. Well, she would be at my games or at my practice and stuff like that. So a lot of my brother kind of did his own thing, but also then again, like a lot of their schedule revolves around mine. And as bad as I feel, like, I mean, there's nothing really as out of my control, and I'm very grateful for them for being so so positive and so having such a good attitude about it. But yeah, my sister even still now, like my sister, not that she didn't want to visit me, but was dragged along on an 8-hour ride and missed like 2 days of school to come and watch the games when they came with my family. When she came, my family with Alex, what was it, like a month ago, probably?
But so what I was getting at there is like your dad played basketball, yes?
My dad played basketball in high school, but nothing serious.
Mm-hmm. So during this process where you're going through all this shit, he kind of has to, like, when he sees you struggling and stuff and he's trying to teach you things, is he trying to translate like business into like basketball and trying to tell you like, well, this is how this is and this is life?
He's very knowledgeable about the game.
Yeah.
My mom, on the other hand, and Chris will always hear my mom like say that, you guys watching this have seen
in the crowd who's just yelling.
No. You guys have seen Drake's Son, his music video, saying like the dogs are barking and whatever. That's what my mom sounds like to me when she tries to give me feedback about basketball. But I know it's out of love, and so I used to flip shit on her. I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about, whatever. And we used to get in a lot of arguments. And now, as I've matured and realized I also pretty much don't know shit, otherwise I wouldn't be in the positions that I'm in, I try and give her a little bit more leeway and just be a little bit more patient. But my dad does my dad knows a lot.
Yeah.
My dad is very knowledgeable. My dad picks up on stuff quickly. And so something that would take me 3 or 4 times of fucking over to do it properly.
Red card slab.
He'll probably be able to pick that up after the first time.
Yeah.
And so he knows, and he's very knowledgeable. And he watches all the games, whether I get it or not. And he's watched all of my games since I was a kid. And whether I was at AOA and they were streamed or whatever, he'll pay for the Wi-Fi on a plane from a business trip to watch my games. And so he knows a lot. And so he gives me real advice because although he hasn't played, he knows a lot.
Can you recall a moment where there was a shitty game and you were mad, or a situation like that where he like gave you some advice and you're like, shit, he's right?
Nothing's coming to my head right now. Give me a second to think, because there's been a ton of times. Let me come back to that, because there's just nothing coming to my head right now.
Okay. 2 lessons, if you can, from this 10, 20, 15, whatever. I don't know how long.
Long as shit.
2 lessons, just 2 very strong, very solid takeaways that you could tell somebody that you've learned on this process.
Be persistent, and be like, persistence and perseverance is like, eventually you're gonna win.
Something's got to give. And
whether that's you run the race so long that everybody else just drops off and you win by default, or those
are my favorite races, bro.
Or you get so good at doing the thing over and over and over again that no one can fuck with you. But either way, if you just keep doing it over and over and over again, it's a mix of a lot of things. So I'll give you answer those 2 things with a bunch of things, but in one answer. If you are consistent with what you're doing, you persevere no matter what, and you do it even on the days you don't want to, and then you're positive and you're optimistic and you believe that's going to work. And on top of that, you're a good person and you take care of the shit you need. Like, for example, you get good grades in school and you treat people with respect and you aren't ineligible because you do some dumb shit. You fight somebody in runs or whatever it is, or anything. Then things are going to happen for you at some point. If you keep all of those things consistent.
Those things might not be basketball related, but
something's going to happen for you in general. Yeah. Though that's the biggest thing I've learned is like, you just have to keep doing those 5 things I said. It's like persevering, no matter, like being consistent, persevering even the days you don't want to, working hard, and then just being optimistic and being a good person. And just all those things, it's going to lead to success at some point in some area.
Do you have your favorite crazy basketball story, possibly college basketball story, which would be funny? Because I know Coach Hack's going to watch this, and I feel like it's a him story.
Dude, I don't even know.
It could even be from Elms, which would make me laugh, because there is some stories here.
Like, basketball related? Most of the crazy shit is not basketball related.
it's like gun, women, and drunk related.
You might have to bleep out some of that. Like when Roden came, shout out Jacob Roden. He'll be on the Up podcast at some point. When he came to the dorm, because he plays for Yeshiva University, and they were playing against Amherst, and so he was staying like 20 minutes away, and so he Ubered to the crib, and we just caught up, me, him, and Chris, And we just were just laughing. We just like, we had that moment of like, yo.
We have so many stories.
So I'm trying to think of one. Like you could say the one where Coach Hack like fucking just ringed me out like in front of everybody for the jersey thing where like I thought I was wearing white and I was wearing blue.
It's been beaten to death.
But that one's like beating a dead horse.
I mean, I have one from like the very beginning of the season. I don't think anyone's ever told.
About the Demo one?
No.
With the
This is
I don't even want to talk about that on the podcast. Rest in peace.
No, mine is like, so this is like fresh off. This is August or September. So I've been at school for 2 weeks. The whole recruiting process of like, I was at my basketball court that I started.
Oh, I know what you're going to say. And I wasn't even there for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I was at the basketball court that I grew up playing on with Sam for like 8 hours a day when I got the call from Coach Long saying like, we'd love to have you, all this stuff.
We'll say that's where you made that decision on the podcast, the family friendly version of that story.
Why? What else? Never mind. Yeah, no, fuck. Okay, I got the text, but I did actually get the phone call at that
family
court.
friendly version
at
of the
that
story.
court. It was like there was multiple acceptances things, but like yeah, basically, so at that court I got the call, and then like 2 weeks later I'm in Buffalo, living in America for the first time, all this crazy shit, and we have a team.
Has it been 50 minutes?
Huh?
Has it been? Wow, yeah, it's gonna be an hour now.
And we have a team meeting in this little classroom. I know not a single person other than James in the room, which is my roommate at the time. It's just a bunch of basketball players. They're all laughing and talking about random shit. I'm head down at the front of the room. The only person I've met on the team is Coach Long and my roommate. And in walks Coach Hack.
Both very not aggressive.
Super chill people,
Yeah.
like whatever. In walks Coach Hack. Everyone's like, hey, what's up? They're all just like, everyone knows him. It's a weird situation. And he's this imposing big dude, 6'2", missing a couple teeth. You know, it is what it is.
Has a dip in his lip.
mouth. And he's just like, and we had to get this money for this Thanksgiving drive. So we were supposed to sell. He gave us all like 10 tickets. It's $20 a ticket, and we were supposed to go door to door, do whatever. He said, "I don't care. Just come in with."
Yeah,
two.
basically, you owe him $220, or you can give some. You can sell these tickets, and
But
you give
regardless,
other
you're
people
gonna give him
$200.
$220, and people start coming to the front of the classroom, putting down like $60, 20. He's like, "I'll get you later." All this joke stuff, and like it's just the anger is just building. I put my $200. I'm scared shitless. I don't want. It's my first thing ever, right? And the day before, I had missed lift by like 15, 30 minutes because my alarm didn't go off and James didn't wake me up. Fuck you, James.
Fuck you, James.
And
Yeah, but you got him back
I
because
did
he's
get him
in the
back.
shower.
But
Paul, wow.
yeah, no, mid-story, put my money down because I'm scared shitless, right? And everyone starts laughing and all these jokes are going. You can just see the anger building in Coach Hack. And then out of nowhere, he grabs a whiteboard marker and it just explodes it on the thing and goes, "This is why we fucking suck." And this is the first time I've ever met the guy, and he's just exploding. He turns, points right at me, and he goes, You were late to lift by 30 minutes. Turns to Joe, he goes, "You have a fucking Samsung," and everyone's just like, yo, like it was crazy.
I wasn't there for that.
That was my
yeah.
welcome to college moment, bro. I was like, this shit is not a fucking game. In that moment, I'm thinking to myself immediately, I'm like, yo, there's a chance I don't want to do this. This is the first meeting.
Yeah. I have a story. I don't know how this wasn't the first thing that came to my head. This is the scariest thing I've ever experienced in basketball from like a yelling type of standpoint. So on this team, before I quit, we had this practice, and our coach would sometimes bring in like his friends, like people in the basketball world, to like
You told me this story.
train with us, like train. Well, you experienced something similar to like train with us and or like put us through workouts. And this fucking psycho, fucking insane dude. Like you could tell he was insane by when he stepped into the gym. He had us doing some. I've never heard of this guy, but allegedly he sent like 40, 60 girls basketball players Division I. So he specialized in girls basketball. And we spent like an hour just taking charges. Like just taking charges. It was like, bro, what the hell is going on? Like we taking charges, doing push-ups.
He's the one that's like going through you?
No. But he's telling you you're fucking worthless and you're a bitch on this, like from the sidelines. And then eventually, I don't know what we did, but we did something to piss him off. He's like, everyone on the baseline. And we did 17. And we kept back doing this charge thing. Did something to piss him off again. 34.
Oh.
Did something to piss, and then whatever. Back to the charge thing. Did something again. 68. And while he's like, it wasn't even to me. It was to like the best player on the team at the time. He was like, "You're fucking worthless. You're never gonna be anything in life. Why the fuck you even here? Whatever. Like you're
flashbacks.
But like running with him up and down, and I'm like, yo, what the? I don't even want to be here anymore. I really contemplate walking out.
How old are you at this time?
14.
Yeah.
Also, like we're not like a college basketball team. We're like a club basketball team. And also another one that I have. Quick other story. So this same team. We scrimmaged against Grassroots Elite, who at that time had Elijah Fisher, had DJ Jackson, who's also playing Division I. I don't remember, but there was a chance that Shaden Sharp was in that game too, who he's in the league now, and he like is averaging 20 a game.
Who fucking Shaden Sharp is.
He's having 20 a game, and I think he was on that team too, and they had like probably 7 dudes go D1 and 1, potentially 2 go to the league, and we lost by like 70.
Yeah.
And that was just like a holy fuck moment. I was like, this is what really good basketball looks like.
I would say I had a holy fuck moment in, ironically, a grassroots scenario when like, because you had that like the you're worthless type shit at a much younger age than I did, but like it wasn't even a you're worthless thing. It was just I didn't know what a college basketball player looked like, other than the one kid in my area. Shout out Ethan Cudney, who went to why am I spacing on his school?
Fanshawe?
No, that's
Laurentian?
Laurentian, thank you. He went to Laurentian, but there was 20 of these dudes at Grassroots trying out for the AAU team, and that's when I snapped their starting point guard's ankles, and that was a crazy fucking story.
You got my get back.
And then Elijah Fisher was going crazy on the sidelines. I got ripped by Elijah Fisher in game.
You dunked that shit?
Oh yeah, fuck. He was 16 at the time. I'm like, oh shit, this is real. But other than that, I don't think I have. I mean, yeah, but it was just like the intensity, like going from my coach in high school played on a CFL team, and our press break was a wide receiving route where
it was football.
He would just go long, and you guys had that same thing yesterday.
Yeah. But
like that's what we would do, and he didn't really care about basketball. And then you have Roe Russell, who is now maybe in jail. I don't really know, maybe. But yeah, him just talking. We would mess up like a tween on the dribble, and he's baseline. Do you guys understand who the fuck I am? I make a call to any college in the country, and you'll be on that fucking team. It's just like this crazy fucking mentality type bullshit. But I want to go back to like a childhood thing where like, because you were playing against all these crazy basketball players, and did being in the gym with guys like that make you better or worse as a basketball player? Like, did it make you think I can't do this, or like I'm going to start taking pieces of their game? Because one of the things that
I think as a kid I was very like. It started off being like, yeah, this is awesome, whatever. I felt I was getting better, and then I got to the point where like everyone was so ahead of me that like last year, and I really felt like I was like that, like probably where the performance anxiety thing kind of like started, and I feel like I realized like I really don't belong on this court, and I'm like just kind of felt nervous, and like obviously these guys are talking about like junior academy and like how which is the first step of like the youngest possible like Team Canada you can play for. And like they're talking about how they got invited to that or whatever, and like college I think college is reaching out to them at like fucking 14 years old.
Heavy imposter syndrome.
Yeah, and it's like I had so much anxiety, and I felt so like nervous. I just felt like I didn't belong there, and I feel like that probably made me worse. I think, but it also gave me a goal to try and get to that level. So, and eventually I ended up getting back to that level and competing with those same guys and being in a lot better of a position a few years later after thousands of hours in the gym and shots up.
So you're a sophomore now. And we've asked damn near everyone on the podcast the same question, but what are some things that you didn't know coming into college basketball that you've now learned over the last 2 years about American college basketball?
Shit's fucking hard, man. Fucking hard. And like I feel like everyone like if you tell I play college basketball, that must be hard, but like you don't really know how hard it is. You don't really know the daily grind.
And this is not like a comparison, but like it's kind of like saying you're a Navy SEAL, where it's like they can't comprehend the shit you've been through to get to where you are.
We don't do anything close to being Navy SEAL.
But it's like the only thing I can think of in my head.
Yeah, but like you don't really understand like the physical grind of like, especially when you're not playing, because like last year didn't even touch the court at all. This year, been fortunate enough to have taken a step in the right direction and be in that like kind of garbage lineup rotation, and I've played in 3 of our however many games. It's probably like 1 of every 3 or 4 games I've played in, which is definitely a step in the right direction. But it's just the physical grind of putting in extra work, because I need I'm not playing right now. I'm not in the rotation right now, and I wasn't even in the garbage time rotation last year. So I'm clearly lacking in some area, and so I need to be putting in extra work. So the defense, weight room, maybe my shot's not falling, maybe all this, whatever, this and that, that's holding me back. And so just a physical grind of going an hour before practice, then watching film for an hour or half an hour, then having a 2-hour practice, and then staying after you get shots up, on top of maybe lifting earlier in that day or whatever, like the physical grind, but also just like the mental battle of the ups and downs. And I'm a college basketball player who, if you're watching this, I'd probably give you an ungodly amount of buckets. And I still, even though I'm at this level and I've played in games at this level and scored buckets on people who are very good, I still have bad days where I feel like I'm ass, and I feel like just because I'm at a really high level doesn't mean I have days where I aren't like don't have all good days. Like, and you think like the guys in the league who are all unbelievable, they're the best players ever, they're the best players in the world, and some of them playing now are some of the best players ever. And even them, even Curry, like they have bad days where like they're not good that day. And it's just like, I thought like, oh, you play college basketball, you're unreal. I'm like, yeah, like I'm really good compared to you, but like in general, like I still have days where I'm not good and I'm not at where I want to be.
There's this huge delineation that I've noticed between people who think that, dude, I heard this from, I'm going to use Schmelvin in this scenario because we were watching the game yesterday, right?
Okay, yeah.
And he asked me to rate him on a basketball scale, like 1 to 10, because I saw him shooting around, and I said, I'll give you like a
Did it look decent?
No.
Like, not at all.
Like, I could tell
He didn't look like a common basketball player?
I can tell he's played basketball before, but that's it. Like, you know the other baseball guys who shoot around with 2 hands and shit?
Him or Dante G?
Dante G, by a fucking...
Shut up, fucking Dante G.
By a fucking...
Okay.
Okay, but like,
Okay.
yeah, so Dante G's like a 7-1, maybe a 7-5.
What am I then? What are you then?
Anyone who plays college basketball is
8 plus?
A+.
Okay.
So like, yeah, but basically he was talking, well, I said, you're a 5.8. He's like, yeah, the fuck? I was like, he looks at Clement, who's on the sideline, whatever, and he's like, I barely watch Clement play. And he says, how much do you think if me and Clement, you think I could beat Clement 1-on-1? And I said,
Fuck no.
And I said, I would bet my fucking house that you don't score more than 5 points. And he looks at me and he was like, you're crazy as fuck. And I said, dude, people do not understand the level it takes to even make the goddamn team. If you made a college basketball, even if you're a practice player, you are better than, I'm going to go 97% of all basketball players everywhere.
Yeah.
And people just, for some reason, when they see you on the bench, like, I can probably fry that. Dude, I promise you, you can't. Look, I'm retired. I will give every single one of you watching this, Richie, Miles, Braden, I will fry every single one of you, and it's the truth. And you
At the same time.
it doesn't matter, bro. Like, you don't get it. And that is hilarious to me. That's going on. The thing you said is like, people from the outside looking in do not understand. If you've even played a year of college basketball as a practice player, you are levels ahead of every other basketball player on the planet.
It goes both ways though. Like, yeah, I'm way better than you, but I'm all like, you looking at me. That sounded mad egotistical. I'm gonna take that back. You looking at me, yo, he plays college basketball. He must be really good. Yeah, I am really good, but also there's a sense of he should be really good, but I also have these bad days. You know what I mean?
2 more things I want to go here is I want to step on this now because, yeah, the question that what's his face left, Keyshawn, I'm spacing on a lot of shit right now, was what would you do to make Elms men's basketball better?
So in the position that I'm in right now, obviously I'm playing in games where either we blow a team out or we get blown out.
Cheers.
So I'm not in the rotation. So it's hard for me to make an impact on the court immediately, let's just say. But I feel like, so one of the things, which I actually was talking to the guys who I was running with in practice on our team before. So we played Western Connecticut yesterday, and they handed it to us pretty good, and they were very, very
Pretty good's an understatement.
they're a very, very, very good team, and they're on pace. They're having a very good season. They're
8-1.
going to continue to have a very good season. They could make some noise in March, but they have a suffocating press of 6'5", lanky, athletic guys pressing 94 feet for 40 minutes.
I had an out-of-body experience watching them, and I realized if I ever coach a basketball team, that's what I want it to look like.
Like, it was like a AAU. If you were dribbling the ball, you had 2 people guarding you.
Couldn't get the ball over half. Actually,
No.
let me say this, because I actually think, dude, this is a moment that I realized that I want to be a basketball coach. And this is the moment that's going to like exemplify the intensity that comes with, we got to talk about the Trinity game, the Holy Cross game.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
like the guys practicing before, whatever. but like
Trinity.
Trinity, yeah.
Yeah.
I keep fucking those two schools up. But basically, they were trying to run their sets, right? And they have like 5 sets.
We have fucking lot of sets, but we ran like 5 main sets. Yeah.
5 main sets. And as they called out their sets, like one of them's called Fist. They were calling out their sets, and their players were echoing to the coach the actions that were about to happen. Like, he's going to cut middle, he's about to do this. They're running Fist. They knew the plays that they were about to run so incredibly well that the coach didn't even have to say anything to them. They were LeBroning them mid-game because they knew what was about to happen before anyone else did. That's the level of intensity and fucking focus that happens in college basketball.
But back to the actual question. So in practice, so we knew they're very, very known for having and I'm sure the fucking refs knew that they were a pressing team too. That's why they didn't give us any fucking calls. But we in practice were working on a press break. But shout out coach, this is a very good idea. We were doing 8 on 5. So there's 8 defense and 5 offense. And the 5 offense was the 5 starters, and the 8 defense was 8 like players. It was like the rest of the guys, you know what I mean? Like that are not starter high up in the rotation. And before that, we had a huddle, and I'm like, after Coach P, who was like leading our group, was talking, I'm like, yo guys, like, let's fucking be intense because they're gonna fucking face a ridiculous press tomorrow. So let's try and prepare them as best as we can. As our role right now is to try and simulate what's gonna happen tomorrow. So if we can push them to be better in practice now against 8 of us, theoretically versus 5 should be better. And so to go on that, like what I could do is just keep getting better, not only for myself, so that I can be on the court and I can shoot the ball and I can contribute to get that 3-point percentage up, and I can add spacing for guys like TC, guys like Key, guys like Aaron, guys like RJ who go downhill. But also just in practice, I can push guys to get better, and I can ideally become a better defender so I can guard who I'm guarding better and push them to be better. And then also just being intense and help simulating what other teams are going to run in order to help prepare the guys who are in the positions to play right now in order to prepare them for the games. And then also, actually, I had a lot of sit-down conversations with coach, and like I've added a few things to the program, which I'm proud of those contributions to the greater whole. Because at the end of the day, everyone has a role, and there was multiple ways to contribute to that whole other than just playing. And so, like, for example, the gold mine thing was an idea that I had of just kind of like an activity to just get guys to connect and get guys to buy in and invest in areas that they have similar interest in. Basically, let's just simplify it as that. So I had an idea of a team bonding exercise and just like other ways that aren't necessarily on the court that can help the team grow as a whole.
Add some fucking value.
Exactly. Add some value.
You've been on some good teams. You've been on some bad teams.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think separates the good teams from the bad teams?
Buy-in and just trust.
What does that mean?
Like buy-in is like just the give a fuck. Like everybody gives a fuck and everybody buys into their role. So the team that I've been on that was the best playing team together was one of the least talented teams I've been on. When my first year at AOA, it was a 3-headed snake, and everybody else was not extremely talented, but bought into their role. We started a all-state 5'10" baseball player who shot like Chris Boucher over his head at the 3.
Okay.
But he was dumb fast.
Yeah.
But he would go play 40 minutes and not shoot a single shot, and be
PJ Tucker,
and host a team party after the game after we won. Like he was so bought into his role, he knew every play, and he just gave a fuck about the team and just being a part of the team and doing whatever it took for the team to win. And we had guys off the bench who were the same way, and just everybody was so bought in, everyone was so on the same page. Yep. And we were less talented than we were the next year when Alex came and Elijah came and Jeremy Rudnick came, and we had a lot of guys we had 5 guys who go play college basketball, one's playing professional. Yep. But we did worse, and we were worse, and we had a worse record because we weren't all on the same page the same way. So it's that, along with, what was the other thing I said before? Just trusting each other. So me and Chris, if me and Chris are playing 2s, for example, versus 2 people in Berks,
Ben and Wes,
I want to win because I want you to win as well. And I'm like, if I fuck with you as a person and I trust you, I'm gonna go harder. Mm-hmm. And I'm also not gonna get down on you if you fuck up because I want you to be better, if that makes sense. So if 5 guys on the court at the same time all trust each other and are all playing for the next person, it's a hard team to beat when you have a bond like that. You know what I mean? When everyone's linking arms, it's hard to run through that as opposed to when everyone's standing side by side individually.
How do you create that? If you were a coach, how do you? You know you need trust, and you know you need people to buy in. how do you do that?
I think the best programs are the programs where you bring guys up. So it's like it's very hard to build that with a program where people come in and out.
So a JUCO.
A JUCO or just other schools where guys come in, come out, or like 1 year rentals. Like for example, like the Riviera team, like they're gonna do very good, but we played them a very, very, very good game, and they're 8-2, and we were 2-8. I think that, and they're gonna lose all those guys next year. And I feel like it's hard, and there are moments where they were like arguing with each other. You were watching the game, and I think that it's hard to build that. But I think that if you give that team and those guys 3 years together to grow, they create that bond. I think it's just a little bit of time. I think you need to like graduate guys into a position where they've been together for 3 years. They are all. That's how you get on that same page. I think it's hard to do when you are all meeting and like for our Elms team right now, a ton of new players.
Yeah.
And so we're all meshing together for the first time. We're all figuring out the quirks and how I can speak to Mike, for example, with him being receptive to my feedback, or how I can treat TC, or all these just learning how to communicate with people based on how they like to be communicated with. And it's hard to figure all that out and build that type of team chemistry and that bond in one season.
It is odd that like the few things that I've noticed from the really, really successful basketball teams is that we talked about this too, is how damn near every single one of them has pretty much entirely seniors and fifth years. Yeah.
If you look at the Madai team, the year before that we won, Kendall and Rodney were both there basically since freshman year. They won in their senior year. And then you had Rari as a junior. You had all these guys who came in as freshmen and came all the way up the continuum and went from freshman struggles, sophomore, junior, senior, and then they worked together as a whole and they won a championship.
And then you had a few new pieces that were like
the next year,
which was like you have Dante Wilcott coming in, you have Demo coming in.
Yeah, you have some good pieces as well.
You have these guys who are coming in, and because they're all freshmen, which is the most important part, I think, is like it's really easy to, I want to say, brand a freshman with a type of basketball and a mentality, because what else are they gonna do? Like if you let's say you were a really dickhead of a coach and like someone fucked up and you yelled at them, if it's a freshman, they're not going to talk back because they have no idea. They don't even know what's going on at this point.
They also don't have that stack of evidence that you were talking about before. They have
it's like parenting a child. Like if a child talks back, it's like no, it's not going to happen because you're the parent. But it's like when you start to get second and third year transfers, they know what other college basketball programs look like, and they know that you got recruited for a specific purpose, and that if I talk back to them, odds are he's probably not going to send me packing. But freshman doesn't have that conception. But it's like the time thing. I will agree with you on that, but I think it comes from the coach mostly.
If you look at what I was saying before is you look at our Madai team, the next year after those guys graduated and the new pieces, we had a lot of new pieces in the rotation that were new, such as Colby. You had Day. You had a bunch of guys. You had Mac. You had a bunch of guys who were in there. Is there anyone else who I'm forgetting who was new that year? That was, Warren at the beginning of the year. And you have and we didn't do nearly as well because we had a rotation of a lot of guys who were older, who transferred in and didn't have that necessarily bond that they were brought up with all under the same. It's kind of like a family. If you're brought up with these values and then now you're a second year and then someone else comes up with these values and now you have 4 years of guys who are all brought up with the same values, the same principles, both basketball and not basketball, that creates a very strong bond, I feel like.
It's like, I think it takes a coach also buying in, which is a weird thing to say.
Well, the coach has to stand on his system. And I feel like there's a adaptability that's necessary. Like if we do something, I feel like if something's not working, obviously you have to adapt. You can't just say this is my system and I'm going to fucking ride or die with it. But there has to be a standing on the system and a standard. Like Coach Hack was very, very adamant on the standard.
This is what I was going to get into is like, I don't even think, because I think it's much easier by definition to teach principles, which is what Coach Hack did. Because I don't even know if he like comprehended that he was doing this, but it's like, if I teach you principles, defensive principles, or let's say, I'm going to scratch that, I'm going to go back to that. If I teach you a specific defensive scheme for a very specific team, I have to reteach you that same thing every single game for every single new team. If I teach you principles with some very small, minute tweaks, that can be effective against every single team in the league. So if I instill these principles in you from from the beginning of your college basketball career, and then you have these new guys coming in getting still with the same principles, you don't have to make that many tweaks. And the ideal scenario for a leader is when I can step back and let the work that I've done lead throughout the rest of the team. So it's like if you get a 4-year guard and he comes in and you teach him all these defensive principles, when someone comes down and doesn't help in defense, whatever, I don't even have to yell at that player because everyone else on the court is immediately going to jump on him. It's the 5 monkeys thing where they get sprayed with water. It's like I don't have to do anything anymore And it's like if you do enough work, if the coach is bought in enough to the point where he can teach them principles and values and instill them in the right way, he doesn't even have to really do that at some point. You can just step back like passive income. You can just let it ride.
I think the coach also has to create that relationship with their players where they can instill values. Like, I'm not going to listen to you I'm not going to listen, or a player is not going to listen to a coach if they don't have that type of relationship where he feels like, you know what I mean? I can't really explain. Like, a player is more going to listen to a coach if they like the coach. Not necessarily like the coach, but they like the coach. They respect the coach. They have
Respect matters more than like.
It's a bit of you have to have a positive relationship. If I don't like you as a coach, as a person, then I'm going to be more resentful to your philosophies and your ideas and your principles. But if I respect you and I like you and off the court I feel like you're there for me, I'm going to be a lot more inclined to listen to what you have to say and adapt that.
I've always thought that to some degree you should hate your coach, and I don't think you can get around that as a coach, because if you try to, one thing I've noticed is if you try to maintain a player's feelings over winning or getting the point across, they're going to hate you anyway. So instead of pussyfooting around, you'd be better off just drilling into the kid and like forcing him to see it your way to the point where he's like, man, fuck that guy, but he's going to respect you from coming at it like a man, instead of like trying to dance around the subject of like, yeah, I can't really get into this without saying names, but like, yeah, that's what I mean. We're at an hour 15, and I think I've squeezed my brain for pretty much everything I could possibly get out of it today. So I think what we're going to do here is we're going to give Max Rolnick the last question that we've given 50 other people, which is, what's one piece of advice you would give your younger self?
Just keep going. No matter what, just keep going. If you don't feel like it, keep going. If you woke up and you're hurting, keep going. If something's affecting you off the court, keep going. If something's affecting you on the court, keep going. No matter what, you just have to keep going. Slow motion is better than no motion. You keep getting better every single day. But also, be able to enjoy like the little things and be able to enjoy the journey and the ups and downs. Don't get too caught up in that. And yeah, just be able to enjoy the little milestones. Like, for example, the first Trinity, which we talked about, or we didn't actually get into that, but we mentioned that. We mentioned that. We can talk about that after. Like, I got in for the first time. And although I went 0 for 2 and I shot 2 good shots and I felt good and they just didn't go in, and I could be frustrated about that, and I was at the time, I tried my best to be in the perspective of, I just got in on a college basketball court for the first time ever. And so just enjoy those moments, and as opposed to being too critical and anal about shit. Like, just enjoy the moments and just recognize your progress. And just because I'm not where I'm at now doesn't mean I won't be there in the future. And just be grateful and just recognize your progress and don't like sell yourself short. That's it.
Wraps. See you on the next one.
Thank y'all for listening.